Hello and welcome to the Ready to Bloom podcast with your host Holly Wharton. Ready to Bloom helps heart-centered women entrepreneurs to overcome their fears, blocks and limiting beliefs so they can be more successful in business. As a heart-centered business owner, you do amazing work. Holly's mission in life is to help you help more people. Help us help more women in business with a quick review of this podcast. It just takes a minute to leave one today over at iTunes. The more women who find out about this podcast, the more we can help women in business. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the Ready to Bloom podcast, episode 81. This is your host, Holly Wharton, and I'm here with today's special guest, Amira Alvarez. Amira works with women who want to build high-integrity businesses, come up with a business strategy that really works for them so they can develop their business easily without all the overwhelm. She's a business mentor and strategist who works with women around the world who are committed to soul-satisfying success. Her philosophy is that you can rock your business without contorting your soul. Welcome, Amira.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to have you today.
Yay!
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your background and your business journey and how you got to where you are today with your business.
Sure. So I started off my business journey actually in academia, doing research and theoretical stuff. And then I moved into corporate world and being a business person and a consultant, working on my own and for other people. And then ultimately deciding that I really wanted a huge career shift. And I moved from the high-tech world in the Bay Area of California to a total career shift. I moved into healing arts. It's a mind-body technique. It's called the Alexander Technique. And it was my passion in my life for a good 10 years. And I trained in that technique for 3 years, and I built a business around it. And that was a huge learning curve for me, where I figured out how to build a successful business and speak to an audience that really didn't know anything about the work that I was doing. And it was a great experience and learning curve, and I loved it. I built a successful business. And I realized in that journey, two things. One, I loved the business aspect of building a business, which lots of people get hung up on and don't actually like, and that I was helping all my colleagues around these issues, so that was a talent of mine. And the second thing I noticed was that in this modality that I was working in, I guided people with my hands. It was a way of helping people relearn movement. It's so much more than that, but that's it in a very, very bad nutshell.
I've heard of it, but I don't know all the details of how it works, but I've definitely heard of the Alexander Technique.
Yeah, it's so much more than that, and you should look it up. It's a wonderful technique. But the point of me bringing it up here is that I had my hands on people, and I could sense, while we were talking about everything in the world, their lives, their businesses, their pain, their whatever, and I could sense when they were out of alignment both physically and emotionally through what was going on in their bodies. And I sort of self-trained myself to pay attention to that connection, that energetic connection and physical connection, both. And that has helped me be able to read what's going on with people even when I don't have my hands on them, to sort of feel where they are out of alignment with themselves and don't even realize it for themselves. And that's something that I brought into my current business. It's not as woo-woo as you think it is, but it's very much a keen sense of where people are, emotionally, energetically out of alignment with the decisions that they're making in their business, and why that might be holding them back from really big success and taking action.
I love how you're able to translate that kind of intuitive sensations and information that you were getting from the body work to your business coaching.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of it has to do with that I'm curious. So when I was working with people in that modality, I was always asking them questions. And I just kept delving in with permission, of course, and helping them to see, testing to see if I was correct, that they were out of alignment through asking questions, and then helping them see that for themselves. And it was kind of magical. And then testing that out without my hands on them and letting that evolve into something else, trusting myself that I could allow it to evolve into a business that contained all of the things that I wanted to be doing in the world, which was not just the Alexander technique. It was coaching, mentoring, clearing blocks and energy and helping people with their businesses. I'm hugely passionate about that because it means so much to people. And if they can figure out how to make it work, how to align it with themselves, it's a huge breakthrough. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And how did you make this transition from using the Alexander technique and doing the body work to helping people in business?
Sure. So when I was still in California, with a few select clients and with permission, very, very much above board and with all sorts of clarity, I asked them if they wanted to transition from the work we were doing that was strictly Alexander to more coaching style work. And they said yes. So then I was no longer saying that I was doing the Alexander technique with them. I was telling them that we were coaching using some of the techniques that I had learned, that I was bringing along with me. And they loved it. And I got a huge amount of experience. And my clients made huge progress. And they wanted to keep working with me. And so that was very, very satisfying. And it was a very easy transition once I got clear that I could do it, right? If I said, I wasn't doing this, I'm doing this. Are you interested? And they said yes. That was a very easy transition. And then my husband and I left California, and I closed down that practice that I had. And we traveled around the country for 7 months. We had a huge adventure. We decided we no longer wanted to live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and we wanted to live someplace else, but we didn't know where, so we just kept traveling. And neither one of us are particularly adventurous in spirit in that way. You know, it's not like either one of us had done that previously, but we both were intrigued by this idea, and we just decided to do it, and we sold everything and went on the road, and it was fabulous. Lots of hard times too, but mostly fabulous. And we moved and we settled in the Midwest in Wisconsin. And once I got here, I had the choice in front of me. Do I build the same practice that I had before? Do I start something new? So I did a lot of the work that I guide my clients with now. I take them through a process of getting really clear about what's important to them and how they can best show up in the world, and then designing their business around that instead of some preconceived idea of what they should be doing or what a blank looks like, right? And so I spent I stayed in the room with myself. I did the hard work of figuring that out. And I decided I wanted to do business mentorship and strategy work, that was my genius work, that was what was easy for me, that I loved it, and how I could really help people. And how to integrate what I've started to call body-centered strategy work, which is what I took from the Alexander technique and bring to my clients now, in addition to the straight up marketing strategies and business strategies.
Oh, so if you are working with clients who are in the same geographical area as you are, does that mean that you do some body work with them in addition to the business mentoring?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Sorry for the lack of clarity.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
The body-centered strategy work is something I can do now because of my training without having my hands on anyone. Okay. And it's not a type of body work in terms of like a physical manipulation by any means. That's not what it is. It's a way of helping someone work through challenges, fears, overwhelm, anxiety, worry, doubt, whatever's coming up for them that's blocking them. It's a way of helping them tune into their own intuition and direct knowing inside of themselves. And I help them do that by paying attention to what's going on and helping them focus. And it's a particular way of doing it. It's not, I wouldn't say it's absolutely 100% unique to me, but the way I do it is very unique, and I can do it over the phone or Skype. I can talk people through it.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. So, getting back to what you said was your zone of genius, which is doing the strategy work, and then, of course, this very unique technique that you've just described to us, what would you say is kind of the main topic or the main area of things that you work with people on and help them with?
Sure. So fundamentally, I look at business as, how do I make this easy for myself? How can I show up in this world as me authentically and have the business that I want? Okay. And that's how I approach every business decision in my business. And so the biggest thing that I help my clients do is start seeing the places where they're denying that, if you will. Mm-hmm. So often we think there's a ton of excellent business advice out there, more business advice than you could take action on in one life. Okay?
More business advice that you could even read without taking action on in your life.
Exactly. And much of it is great business advice, really stellar business advice. And people think they have to do it all today, this week, this month, this year, okay? And they completely overwhelm themselves, and they also think that they have to do it in that way, that way that they've read about, okay? And they don't relate it back to themselves, their own spirit, their own zone of genius, their own way of showing up in the world. Mm-hmm. And so what I help people do, and sometimes what happens is paralysis, the whole procrastination, not being able to take any action. And then for other people, there's a whole bunch of like, oh, I'm just going to throw darts and take it as much action as I can. And they get into the overwhelm. Mm-hmm. Okay. And those are sort of two sides of the same coin. I don't know if that's the right expression, but it's two ways that not being clear about how you want to show up in the world finds manifestation. Mm-hmm. And if you can really align your genius work with what's easy for you, with how you like to show up in the world, and design your business around that, plus solve a problem that people pay for, right? Yep. Right? Then you're golden. Then it's about consistency and persistence and getting over, the sort of mindset stuff, that the limiting beliefs, that the sort of tribal cultural thoughts, belief systems that we have, that we need to move through to really step up into what we want. Then you know what you're doing. You just have to figure out at every stage how to keep going, gently, slowly, step by step, in a way that feels good.
And how do you help people really get clear about how they want to show up in the world with their business? Because I think for a lot of people who have either had businesses that didn't work in the past, or had a job that they hated, or a career, it's sometimes we do the things that aren't aligned with our soul for so many years that it's hard to get in touch with what the heck it is that we are deep down inside.
Absolutely. It's the toughest thing, really. I mean, that is huge. So for one thing, the way I work with clients who have that, right, who really need help with that, is I provide what I call an architect session in my coaching, which is a 4-hour deep dive. And it provides the time and space to really get clear about that stuff. So often we think that one 20-minute discussion is going to sort of miraculously open up the door for us. And sometimes it is as simple as a one question, and you do get a great big aha. But most of the time it's about really digging in and asking questions. So I ask a lot of questions. And then my training, my background, I can sense where people's energy is off, or if you want to put it another way, they might not be aligned, or there's some hesitation or confusion. And I will ask more clarifying questions. And I take people through a process so that both of us can unravel the layers and really see what it is that they're great at and how to develop a business around it that's easy. And the second thing is really about, let me figure out the right words here. It has something to do with trust and faith. And there are these sort of tribal agreements that we have, cultural concepts that we have, like no pain, no gain. You have to earn it, work hard, earn it. Jobs aren't meant to be fun, right? Right. All this sort of like stuff that's out there. And you have to trust that it can work for you, right? That the soul-sucking struggle is not the only way, okay? And you have to give it time also. You have to commit to that and then take the steps that you need to take. It's not a, just add water, instant overnight success, thing. That stuff is anathema to me. But the first step is really getting clear and trusting. And then all the steps that come after that are about implementation, consistency, visibility, persistence, showing up bigger and bigger, all of that stuff.
Excellent. So when clients come to you and they're really struggling and they're feeling stuck in their business and, something's not working, but, they're so totally frustrated, is this the process that you take them through to help them find that blind spot or missing link in their business?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. 100%.
Excellent. So what would you say people could do, our listeners, for example, if they're feeling that way? How could they maybe start doing some of the work themselves to kind of get that clarity and trust that they can make this happen in their business?
Sure. So the first thing I would say is to create space for yourself. There's an epidemic of rushing around in our world. Okay? And I fall prey to that too. I check my cell phone all the time, But when I'm doing my work on my business, I create space for myself, okay? Which means, an hour to sit down comfortably with, my pen and my pad and to stay in the room with myself. This is a concept that I talk to my clients about all the time. Half the battle is staying in the room, okay? Because we get so anxious about not knowing, right? That anxiety is about not knowing what to do. And then we're so anxious that we can't even look at the problem, okay? So those are 2 tips right there. Create some space for yourself, some time, okay? And stay in the room with yourself, okay? So don't run away from it. Investigate, be curious with it. Ask yourself questions. Check in with yourself. And then, of course, get the help you need if you can't do that. I am a big-time do-it-yourselfer, right? I love to work with myself, and I get the help that I need also because sometimes I can't see the forest for the trees.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah, I think that's so important because sometimes there's only so much you can do on your own because, you're asking yourself the questions, you're doing the work, you're kind of getting some clarity, but it's like you're so stuck in your head that you can't see from the outside what the heck is really going on.
Absolutely. And that's where someone, whether it's me or another business coach or you, Holly, someone can help you see what you can't see for yourself.
Yeah, I think that's so important. So do you have any other tips on how to find that blind spot or the missing link in your business?
Well, I would look at, not to be all negative Nelly or anything, but I would look at what's not working.
Yeah.
Okay? And I would deconstruct it and not just say it has to be that way. Okay? One of the biggest things that has helped me is that every time I have felt struggle, stress, hassle, worry, anxiety, whatever it is, whether it's my life or business, I do this in my life all the time, okay, is to ask myself, how can I make this easier? So this puts me in problem-solving mode instead of stuck mode. So it automatically shifts my energy, my mindset, my focus to how can I change the situation? How can I make this easier? How can I problem solve around this? And it doesn't mean fixing everything all at once. It's just, what's one little thing that I could do to change this, make it easier? And I swear, if you do that consistently and you actually take action on that one little thing, and I'm talking about little, like you have a day that's so full of clients that it makes you crazy. You look at that and you go, how can I make this easier? Oh, I could limit my clients to 4 clients a day. Boom. Change your schedule, right? It's one thing. Simple, okay? Or, I feel rushed all the time. I'm going to put an hour between something I've been talking to people about recently is sort of like these non-negotiable things that you set up in your business. But this is So I'm saying two different things here. Little tweaks make a huge difference over time. Settling for hard is unacceptable. Make the change towards easy, one step at a time. And in, a month, 4 months, 6 months, a year, your business will be so much easier.
Yeah, and I think asking that question, how can I make this easier, is so important because it's moving you from a place of being the victim to taking responsibility for what the situation is that you've created in your business and finding the solutions. And it's
absolutely.
so much more empowering.
Yes. And you feel, you step into that new level of business owner, competency, confidence, ownership. And you're like, yes, I can do this, as opposed to letting life happen to you. Totally different energy.
Yeah, and very, very dangerous. So, Amira, can you tell us a little bit about how you work with people? You've got a number of different kind of packages and programs.
Sure. So there are 3, almost to be 4 ways that I work with people. One is a straight up 60-minute business breakthrough call. This is for people who have an existing business and want very targeted help on something concrete. How to develop, rework their pricing and packaging, how to rework their website to speak more to their target audience, how to develop, understand who their target audience is, what they could do right now to leverage what's happening. It's very targeted, it's very specific, and it's awesome. People get a lot out of that. So that's the business breakthrough call. I also have something that I call the flight plan. This is my ongoing 6-month program. It's a one-on-one program, and it has what I call these architect sessions where we architect your strategy, your plan. And it's those 4-hour deep dives where you're able to really splice everything out, figure out the stuck parts, put it back together. It's creating that time and space. And then there's ongoing sessions throughout the 6 months. And this is for people who want very deeply partnered support. And if you could be more than 100% committed, that's what I would be. Okay, so it's incredibly dedicated coaching and business mentorship. Okay, you come up with a strategy and then we execute it together. Okay, and then I have something that I call the Solicious Retreat and Mastermind, and that is a new offering, and it's a very small, personal, intimate retreat, and it's a live in-person kind of retreat. And I'm not sure yet when the next one is going to be, so stay tuned for that. I also am launching 2 new programs that I'll just mention here. One is a group coaching program. I have a Facebook group called The Posse, okay, because everyone needs a posse, a group of women who's got your back. And we have great conversations there. And they have inspired me to create a group program. And I'm still developing it, but it will be very much interactive. It will be a online phone, Skype kind of interactive program for women. And it will be taking you through a series of questions and interactions and exercises together as a group. And when I've done this with my private coaching clients, when I pulled them together as a group and done this, it's been phenomenal. We all learn from each other, and they have these aha moments. So I'm excited to be putting that together and developing it. So that's coming. And then I know this is way too much, huh? Like someone listening will be like, where should I turn?
That's fine. They can go to your website. We'll be talking about that in a few minutes.
Yeah. And then the one that I'm really excited about is the one that you and I are developing, which is, no, it's really exciting. So that is an intensive where you get to work with both Holly and myself, and you get the business strategy, the targeted calls. You get 3 of them over 3 weeks with me. And then I write up notes and hand you off to Holly with my sense of where you're stuck. And she helps you move through the limiting beliefs and the mindsets, the sort of unconscious stuff or semi-conscious stuff that is holding you back. And you go back and forth between the 2 of us for 3 weeks. And it's like rocket fuel for your business because you're working on the targeted business stuff and you are clearing the crap that's holding you back. That rhymes. I'm so excited.
And it's going to be amazing.
We're both really excited about this.
Yeah. Can you guys tell?
Exactly. So that's very much coming soon. That's the next thing that's out there. So
fabulous.
Yeah.
So Amira, do you have any women business mentors? Are there any women in business who inspire you?
Absolutely. Tons. So, and they've changed over time. I will say that my first business mentor, female business mentor, was Christine Kane. And I really enjoyed her approach, and I learned a ton from her, and I met a huge number of amazing women through working with her. And now I still track her, but I'm not sort of in her sphere anymore, working with her, or following what she's doing. But she sort of she was the first inspirational female business mentor that I had. And then there's someone, Alexandra Franzen, who's she's a writing coach, and she does workshops, and she's a writer herself. And I just love her spirit and how she approaches marketing and running her business and being out there in the world and being herself. And I've never gone to one of her workshops, to be honest, but I tout her all the time and suggest her to my clients all the time because I just love how she shows up in the world. So she's very inspirational. Yeah. And then currently I've been tracking some women. I don't even know their last names. They just signed their email, Stacy and Carrie. And they're part of their business is Holistic MBA.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah. And I love how they frame things. I love how they approach things. It's very much in alignment with what I do. They're mostly about large group programs. The difference there is that I work one-on-one with people in small, intimate groups. But we're very much aligned in the approach that we take to helping people. And so I enjoy following what they're doing and learning from them as well.
Excellent. Thank you. So before we sign off today, where can people find you online and learn a little bit more about you?
Sure. There are two main places. One, my website, which is my first and last name together. So it's Amira Alvarez, and that's spelled AmiraAlvarez. So it's AmiraAlvarez.com. And then the second place is the private Facebook group that I've created for women entrepreneurs, and it's called The Posse. So if you search Facebook for The Posse, or if you go to my website, there's a link in the sidebar to it. And that is an amazing group of women who are really supporting each other, asking good questions, answering the questions that I put out there to them, and really learning how to rock their business.
Exciting.
So I invite everyone to go there and participate, or even just watch. That's fine too.
Silently stalk us online.
There's just a lot of good conversation going on there. I think there's a lot you can learn from other women.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and I'll put those links in the show notes so everyone can link to them.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, thank you so much, and thank you for listening. And remember to visit readytobloom.com/81 for the show notes on this episode. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to the Ready to Bloom podcast with your host, Holly Wharton. If you enjoyed this episode, remember to head over to iTunes and leave us a quick review of this podcast. Thank you.